Hot Mics with Billy Joel. Great title. You know it. All right, we welcome to Hot Mics now a very good friend of mine. His name is Harry, and I'm going to tell you, Harry and I have known each other a very, very long time. And what happened to Harry is incredible. It's the most devastating love story you could imagine. It has everything to do with catfishing and scamming, and in the worst possible way. It took him a long time to come to terms with it. It took him even longer time to fall in love with the woman in question. What he's done can be found online. It's called the Rachel Cancer Scam. And Harry, through a long process, has told this story in podcast form, and it's just a riveting listen. You've got to start it. But let me just tell you the little basis here. 20 years ago, Harry meets this girl, Rachel. They become friends. They become intimate. But it's it's short-lived due to circumstances. But maybe you've had this experience in your life. Intermittently over time, people single, they reconnect, never really lost touch, always kind of felt a special kindred spirit, a love, frankly. And then you hit middle age, and it's like, I'm 50 now, I'm in my 50s. What am I doing? You know what? I'm going to call Rachel. And all of a sudden, Harry reconnects with Rachel, and they begin to fall in love. What happens after that is unbelievable. If a movie is made of this kind of thing, this doesn't come out of anyone's head. No one's sick enough to come up with this in their head. It has to be something encountered. It has to have happened. And then you have to have the courage to put it to paper. I welcome Harry. Right now, he's here, one of my great friends. All right. Harry, essentially, let's give the bullet points up front. Let's give a headline up front that the woman you've known forever, that you've loved forever, basically takes you down a rabbit hole of lies that goes from I have cancer, where you get engaged, you give a ring, you find out after engagement and love and all this beautiful future ahead of, wait, we're going to have a baby. You haven't had a baby in your life. Such a great father and person, like a second father to my kids. Like, they love Harry. He's so good with my children. This guy should have been a father all along. And you see an ultrasound that says we're having this child, take a look at our baby, and then, oh no, I've got cancer, and oh no, one thing after another. And all of a sudden, it just blows up, and you find out the whole thing was a lie. Where do we begin?
I used to be able to tell this story in 90 seconds. Right? When you and I first talked about Rachel in my life, I told you the story in 90 seconds.
Yeah.
What happened after knowing her for 21 years was I realized that her entire life, the entire time, was a lie. Literally from the time I met her in 2001. Most scammers, most cons happen very quickly. The con person, the con man, con woman enters your life, and then they're gone like a thief in the night. With Rachel, she was in my life for 20 plus years. When we finally decided to connect, as you talked about, we went to Santa Barbara to spend a couple of nights there. I really began to think, as you said, I'm 55 years old. I don't think I've ever really been in love, and I've always loved her. There's always something charming and captivating about her. You've met her. She was in your home.
You brought her to my house. Yeah. We sat in the backyard with my girlfriend, Allie, and Rachel, and you, and me, and we talked about everything. She was a lawyer. She told me she was a lawyer. She'd come into this money. you were like, we're looking at like, properties and all these different things together. She's got millions of dollars, and this is, it just so happens. It's not why I love her in any way. I've loved her when she had nothing, and I've loved her for 20 years. And she's there in my backyard, and I think, oh my God, Harry has found the incredible love. This is amazing.
The reality is that there was a giant red flag that happened 2 nights before that. On October 7th, 2021, she wrote to me and said, Harry, I don't think I can do this with you anymore. I'm looking to love and be loved. I'm trying to figure out what I'm capable of. She said, I'll go to Billy Bush's house with you. I'll come for the birthday weekend for a celebration, but I don't think we can do this anymore. I need to see what's next for me. And as soon as she said that, it was my hold my beer moment. I said, you know what, Rachel, if you're really looking for that, I've always loved you. There's always been something about you. Give me a shot. If you're posting a job, here's my application for that job. That was on the 7th of October 2021. By the 17th of December, I was talking to her about marriage. And within 2 days of that, she said, Harry, I'm pregnant, and I think my cancer has returned. Literally the next day, she went to the hospital, got an ultrasound done, and said, number one, would you like to see a picture of your baby from today? And number two, I do have cancer. That's about as succinctly as I can bring you up to speed.
And this is the Harry that I have known my whole life. He says, no, I don't get this news that you have cancer and now want to bail on the whole situation. I wanted to marry you. I love you. We have a baby coming. I'm digging in all the way. I'm going to stand by you the whole way. We're going to do this together. And this is an exit point for her. There's several exit ramps along the way. She goes even further. Okay.
She said, okay. That night when she said, I do have cancer, I'm so sorry I brought you I brought you into this. And I said, Rachel, we're in this together. It was 2 days after we discussed being married. I said, I'm going to leave tonight. I'm going to be in a Atascadero where you live, and I am going to stay by your side through the cancer. And she said, well, why don't you not come tomorrow? Why don't you come on Tuesday? I'm very private. I don't want you to come to the doctor with me. Come on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And that should have been a red flag, right? But I was literally willing, even after 2 days, because 20 years I loved her. For 20 years I thought, she really is kind of the one that got away. And now we pick each other, and then within 2 days she's pregnant. Serendipitous. But then she has cancer. It was a kind of an exit ramp, as you said. I think she was not expecting me to say, you know what, not only am I in, but I am all in. I am going to move my life, which is what I did, to Atascadero, California from Las Vegas, which is where I live now. I did that. When I was in that hotel room thinking she was sick, you and I, Billy, you called to check on me at least once a week.
So she goes to the doctor by herself. Everything, she continues the lie that she has cancer. You, of course, don't know it's a lie at this point. You have gone to where she lives, right? And you're in a hotel down the street from the hospital. Now, the other part that is crazier, she's married already and has children. She has grown children. And her house, you're looking at a crazy triangle. Her house where she lives with the family is in one part of town. The hospital's in another part of town. And you're sitting in a hotel room in a third part of town.
I was living in the hotel next door to her home. This was prior to her big hospital stay. So I literally was a walk from her. We would see each other every day, every other day. She would come to the hotel and see me. I had no idea that she was still married. She had told me 10 years prior to that, in 2012, that she left her husband, and they had first discovered cancer in her. It's an incredibly complex web that she wove. It's insane. She didn't enter the hospital technically until June of 2022. She told me she was taken by ambulance. And at that point, they began intensive chemo with doxorubicin. They call it the Red Devil. And then her immune system failed. And then it went from a regular hospital stay for someone with cancer to what they call protective isolation. And I couldn't see her. It was 500.
She's telling you can't see me because I'm in isolation, and I can't. She's the whole time. She's right there in her home, and she's going to her job, right? She works for an airline.
And she's flying around the world because she gets airline benefits, which is insane to me. I literally became a shut-in. Think about what COVID did to us. I learned how to be a virtual caregiver. I sat home. She texted me. I'd record a video. She would send me another text. I'd play some guitar. I did whatever I could do.
You tried to pick up her spirits with cancer, this terrible cancer, you got Scotty McCreery, you asked me, you asked
Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
Hey, Rachel, it's Tucker Carlson. It's about exactly 1 hour before my show, and I'm sitting here in my bedroom writing it, and Harry just texted me and said you were sick in the hospital. I am so sorry. There is nothing worse than being stuck in the hospital by yourself. I've been there. I hope the nurses are nice. That's the one great pleasure, is the nurses. So I really hope you have nice nurses. I bet you do. Anyway, I'm thinking about you, and I hope to meet you at your wedding. See ya.
You're sending her all these things to try and lift her spirits because she's in a terrible, cancer isolation ward and fighting these things. And the whole time she's going to work. She lives at home. She's got her kids.
Flying around the world on free benefits working for American Airlines. By the way, she still works for the airlines. During this time, while she was scamming me, she was scamming people at the San Luis Obispo County Airport at the American Airlines Piedmont station, saying not that she's a lawyer, not that she's, anything other than a pilot, a helicopter pilot, and a trauma nurse. She's telling me one thing, running one scam on me, and then telling women at the airport, hey, by the way, I'm a pilot.
I'm a pilot.
I'm not just a regular pilot.
You think she's a lawyer. I think she's a lawyer with $20 million in the bank.
This is Catch Me If You Can on steroids.
And how many people has we find out later, I hate to skip ahead, but she's done this to 10 people.
She's done this to a lot of people. The cancer and pregnancy scam, a number of people. That began in high school, really. She told a number of guys in high school that she was pregnant. But the big one after high school was that she needed a way to go to Houston, where she was going to work as a dancer and an escort. So she told her high school boyfriend, we're pregnant. I'm supposed to be going to college at Rice University. So to give the boyfriend proof, she goes into her sister's baby book. Her sister's having twins. She rips, this is pre-Photoshop, she rips off the top of the ultrasound and hands it to Brad and says, guess what, Brad? We're going to be twins. We're going to be father of twins.
Oh, my God.
And that's where it started. And there were a number of guys after that got the same scam. Either I'm pregnant with your baby or we're pregnant and I have cancer. I'm just the only one that stuck around and said, I'm not leaving. Because that, as you said, that's the guy that, for better or worse, that's the guy that I am. Maybe that made me a target. Maybe she saw that coming. I don't know what it is, but somehow.
What was the motive for her to do this? Did she try to get money out of you? Did you wire her money on a consistent basis, or was this love and just attention? What was the currency she was trading in?
This is the shittiest part of the whole story. I have a message from Rachel to her still husband, Mark, that says, I lied to Harry about cancer for attention.
Can we play that right now? Do we have that?
I can show you a screenshot of it. You can see the screenshot.
Okay.
I lied to Harry about cancer for attention. Imagine that. I became a shut-in. For 563 days, I sat in my home. I avoided friends. I avoided family. I was a shut-in because I thought that the woman that I was destined to be with was dying.
And you could not be exposed to any type of germs or anything in COVID because when you finally got to see her, you couldn't get her sick.
I thought to myself, one day the call's going to come. I'm going to get to see her. I got to stay healthy.
So you are engaged. You think a baby's coming, and you're doing for however, and you still haven't seen her. Now, of course, there are people, saying, "Come on, dude. how could you not see the mother of your baby? How could you not go to at least the glass of the and wave? And why wouldn't she let you? And why didn't you insist upon it? So why didn't you?
First of all, I tried everything I could, and really was emotional about it. And there were no glass windows, according to her. It was just she was in protective isolation in a hospital room. I did try everything.
She thought
that
of
I could.
everything. I mean, this.
So she thought of every talk track she tried, and there were red flags. And there was a red flag when I first took what I had been writing for Rachel, which were a whole group of stories called Harry Loves Rachel. While she was in the hospital, I wrote her 80 love stories, which I never shared with you. I never told you. I'll never release them. But 80 stories that were the stories of our future.
To lift her spirits.
Correct. And I used my voice, which is my instrument, to tell her these stories. And I turned that into Harry Loved Rachel after I found out that she was lying to me. When I found out she was lying to me, I saw you after that, and I couldn't.
How did you find out she was lying to you? When did it finally click?
I got a phone call from her husband, her still husband, a guy that she told me had beaten her up a dozen years ago and had done unimaginable, unthinkable things to me, or to her, rather. And he called me. He called my office. I remember getting the phone call. They said, Mark so-and-so's on the phone. Send it to voicemail. I don't want that call. And I fumed.
I don't want to talk to that guy. He was terrible to the woman that I love.
I looked at my watch. It was one of those messages from the iWatch, like, it looks like there's been an emergency. Are you okay? One of those messages.
Harry, this is Mark. Apparently you know my wife, Rachel. Please give me a call when you have a moment. I have a few questions for you. My number is 805.
And then I called him back after I listened to his voicemail, and I said, Mark, this is Harry. He said, I understand you know my wife. And I said, I don't know why the fuck you're calling me or what you want, but she's not your wife. What do you want? And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, this could be the call that she's passed away. She's in the hospital. She didn't make it. And he said, listen, who is she to you? And I said, she's my fiance. Who is she to you at this point besides your ex-wife? And he said, I'm not looking for any trouble. When is the last time you saw her? Let's start there. And I said, in May of 2022, a month before she went into the hospital for this cancer treatment. And he said, stand by. This is your phone number you're calling me from? Your cell phone? I said, yeah. Sends me a video. This is day 563 of protective isolation. I opened the message from Mark, and it's Rachel walking in the house the night before on Ring camera. I'm like, what is this? No head shaved from brain surgery, no paralysis, no tubes, no wires, no remnants of cancer. A woman walking in the home.
Not only did she claim paralysis, but at one point, as you told me, she claimed that the doctors were abusing her, like SA.
The worst.
SA type of abuse while she is in the hospital, and you're thinking, I'm going to go kill these doctors. I'm going to go beat these doctors up. I mean, what this guy's do? They're abusing her now. I mean, she's creating this incredible story of sympathy and attention.
All she wanted to do was play on me so that I would stick around. She knows the kind of man I am. She knows I'm not going to walk away. At one point, you said to me, you are the man who you are. You're going to stand by her side. You're doing the right thing. I was getting encouragement. You didn't know. I mean, none of my friends that would say that. But I remember specifically from you saying, you are doing the right thing by standing by her. She is strong. She will get through this. And then to find out the whole thing was a lie, I was so humiliated.
At one point, she goes on vacation to Mexico, and she can't get out. She's in Tulum.
Beginning of the story, she's in Cancun after I ask her to marry me. It's January of 2022. At this point, we know she's pregnant. At this point, we know she has cancer. She's going to start chemo, which is a pill, which is apparently safe for the baby. She goes. The pill is making her sick. She's vomiting continuously. I'm worried about it. She's worried about it. Throwing up is so violent. And if you're pregnant, I never had any kids. I don't know. But I was worried about what it could do to the baby. And sure enough, on February 10th of 2022, she sent me a message and said, I'm not feeling well. The doctor's going to come into the room and they're going to bring a portable Doppler unit and look at my belly. And 15 minutes later, she texted me and said, Harry, I'm sorry, there's no heartbeat.
I've lost the baby. She tells you, I've lost our child. You think you're going to be a father. I've lost our child. I've lost it in Mexico on vacation. And now I'm stuck here having lost our child and I can't get out.
And insult to injury, I have COVID. So they've put me in a different...
Oh, she's got COVID now.
She's got COVID.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself, my girl has COVID. She just lost our baby. What am I going to do? What does a fella do when he's in trouble? He calls a friend that can help him out. I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to call Billy. Billy will have a way. Billy can send a plane or call someone or help to get her out. I didn't know what to do. And I called you and you said, give me the details. And you call me back in 10 minutes. The voicemail's still in my phone. We'll play it right now. You are saying something's not right. Your girl checked out.
H. Bushy. Hey, spoke to my guy. Something's weird, pal. I'm being told that she checked out. Not there. Anyway, call me.
That was the first red flag, February of 2022.
I called two guys I know, different part of Mexico, but great businessmen and friends I've known a long time from my own, trips to Mexico and mutual friends. And I said, I don't know, these guys, they don't live in this part of Mexico, but they're big business guys. I bet they know the person, or they can find the person that owns this hotel, and they can get the proper paperwork done, and they can get her out. And they did. And they called, and we got it. I know the guy who owns the hotel. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of you, Billy. Tell your friend Harry it's going to be okay. They call me back, and they're like, yeah, I know. She's not here. She's gone.
They didn't tell you she was in Mexico with her husband and the rest of her family. They didn't tell you that.
On a family vacation while she's playing this with you. While they're all at the beach, she's sitting here playing this game with you. She left cleanly, left Mexico. This was all a bunch of crap. I tell you, bang.
One of my favorite lines and most famous lines of the podcast is, I should have listened to Billy Bush.
Said nobody ever except you.
That's right. Well, listen, 32 years of friendship. Now I listen to everything you say. I should have paid attention to that red flag. But that started this sequence of events with her going to the hospital, pretending to be sick, the essay in the hospital, multiple issues with chemo and heart and kidney issues, and just a mess. And for 563 days, I thought she was there and dying, and come to find out, the only thing she was dying for was attention. Lied to me about cancer.
Not even money.
I gave her maybe a couple $1,000 over a couple years, like money you would trade back and forth.
Right,
Venmo
because she
your
had made the
girlfriend.
mistake of telling you she's a lawyer with $20 million. I mean,
Right.
What am I going to send her for?
Right. And she took an engagement ring. That's it. But what she really took
Your heart stamped all over it.
was this, because I thought I loved her more than I loved anyone ever in the world. And that's what this scam was about. It was a love scam. It wasn't for legal tender. It wasn't for property. It wasn't for anything else other than attention. But it robbed me of what was in here.
But a functioning in her real life, a basically functioning mother with a husband, who knows, they have their problems like everyone else. But I mean, was the husband, when he called you and put the pieces together for you because he had found out, I mean, at that point, was he like as shocked as you, or was he like, you're number 4. This has happened. I've made this call before, Harry. You're just the latest.
Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't, in his mind, I wasn't number 4. This was a new scam to him. He knew that she had been out of the marriage previously. So in a way, I wasn't new, but for the scam to have gone on the way it was with me, I was brand new to him. And the entire thing was brand new to their family. And what's happened since all of that happened is I realized that Rachel wasn't just a thief of hearts. Rachel, as an example, ran for political office in Santa Clarita in 2006. She lost the election but didn't lose her way to the bank. She embezzled a bunch of campaign funds. State of California is still owed money. They never sued her for it. In 2012, she went to another organization in California in SLO called Cap SLO. She got benefits under the guise that she was a single mom and took $27,000 worth of money for them. They accused her of fraud. They never sued her. That money's never been paid back. To this day, she owes them about $90,000. And then she got an EBT card at one point in 2023 while she was doing the cancer scan with me. And, I've turned her in on all these things in addition to this fake pilot's license that she's showing off at the airport and a fake nursing license. She's just, she literally is catch me if you can in a way.
But you didn't, when you found out, you didn't turn around all of a sudden in rage and say, okay, that's it. I'm going to go make a podcast and tell this story. You were locked in shame, loss, sadness for how long? 6 months before this?
For 6 months.
You and I saw each other after this happened, after this blew up. Hey, how's Rachel? Is everything going okay? You couldn't even tell me.
I said, I don't want to talk about it. She's sick. She doesn't remember who I am. She's had this
sick,
brain
all right.
surgery. And I couldn't look at you and talk to you about it because of the humiliation. You had helped. You had helped me with the hotel while I stayed in Atascadero because I lived there for months. You helped me emotionally, as you have with you and I have been by each other's side through a lot of things in each other's lives, right? It's a mutually beneficial friendship for a reason.
30 years.
Yeah. And I loved you for that, but I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you that she did what she did to me. And then I wrote the podcast and I sent it to you. And I said, something's happened and I can't talk to you about it. And I've written a story about it. And I want you just to listen to it. And you wrote me back or called me back and you said, what the fuck is this? And I said, this is what she did. And you said, you have to tell your story. You have to tell this. This is the most unbelievable thing. And, you apologized for it. And I'm sorry you went through it, but you got to tell your story. You got to tell your story. And your words to me turn this from shame and humiliation to me realizing that I have a voice. I have this voice. And this voice is my instrument. And this voice provides me with power. And this voice provides me with the vehicle to tell people not just what happened to me, but what can happen to them. And now that's my purpose. Am I angry with Rachel? Sure I am. But I'm not here to just, as a scorned lover, I'm here to as a cautionary tale, to share a cautionary tale. I didn't come on your show to fucking cry either.
You did, though. You told this story. You're a brilliant. What you didn't realize is, where Harry and I know each other from is from my very first job out of college. I worked at a radio station called Oldies 105 WLKZ in Laconia, New Hampshire. I guess the tower was in Wolfboro, New Hampshire, but the Lake Winnipesaukee region of New Hampshire. I was just a kid, coming out of college, and Harry was a bigger deal working for the corporate group that owned the station. And so he was coming up to oversee the station, see what's going on. He met me. We met. I was like, hey, you want to go get a little bite to eat or have a... We became great friends, and I'd look forward to every time Harry would make his way around, to our station and come hang out with me in New Hampshire. And we had a ball, but with that comes an ability to tell stories, to edit, to video, he's a broadcaster at heart. So all of a sudden, you're messing with the wrong guy, because when he tells this story, it's not just to some little writer at the San Luis Obispo newspaper. I've got the ability to put this together in an actual incredible story. It's got almost 1 million downloads already.
We're at 1 million. News flash. Today, we hit 1 million downloads.
Hit 1 million downloads. It's called The Rachel Cancer Scam, and it's a riveting tale. And people have, now there's a reality television company that's talking about different things. There's things happening. That's not what's important. That was never the goal. The goal was to tell the story, and the way you've told it is unbelievable. I remember we went back and forth all the time on, all right, well, wait a minute, we'll do, how to do it. Although, you're as brilliant as it gets when it comes to this, and it's out there, and it's got. It's people are watching and downloading this, and I'm telling you right now, to our audience here, check out The Rachel Cancer Scam.
We're right here on YouTube. You can follow us the same way you're following Hot Mics. I owe you a debt of gratitude, not just for the friendship, but you allowed me to put your name on it. You have been an advisor of this podcast. This was the little podcast, and continues to be, because I'm not done telling my story. This is the little podcast that could, and to be able to have the courage and the voice and the support of you and your army, right? It's not just you. There are people in your life. Your lawyer, Bob Lang. There are other people that have helped me and advised me in this, and I'm just beyond grateful to be able to tell my story. I was in a very dark place multiple times. You and I have not discussed this. I didn't come to you, and I don't know if I can get through talking about it. But there were times I was thinking, there were 3 separate occasions when I thought about unaliving myself. And I've heard people talk about it and how they get to a dark place. I know, because I was with you when you went through the stuff on the bus, how dark it was for you, and I never understood it.
Yeah.
I remember reaching out for you when that happened and not being able to get to you. 3 months, 4 months, nothing, no word back from you. And I remember talking to you afterwards, and you saying I was just in a dark place, I was in a bad place, and I'm like, I love you.
Oh yeah.
Like, I want to hear your voice. I want to talk to you. I would leave you these messages. And when I was going through this with Rachel, I all of a sudden realized what you may have been feeling, because it was dark. It was sunny in Las Vegas and 75 degrees, but it was dark.
Dark. Man.
I was in a dark spot, and I could very well not be here. All for what? Because she wanted to fake cancer and pregnancy for attention.
I have to ask the questions that probably people are thinking right now, and that is she still like in this marriage with this guy, and is he still like potentially calling other people? Is she still going along while this happens? I mean, you don't use her last name, and I think you shouldn't. That's, enough is out there. Sure.
I think the one thing that's interesting, I alluded to this a few minutes ago, is that my cancer part of the story in the podcast is just one piece of the story. The other piece of it is that what I've uncovered is these other men, a lot of other men. And as I continue to dig, I find more information. This man, Mark, is a man she's still married to.
Wow.
As we sit here today...
Well, he's a loyal husband. Jesus.
Well, he wants to be divorced. She's now living with another man.
Oh.
It's an ugly divorce.
Another guy she's actually living with him, and does he know of all this? Have you spoken to him?
When her husband, Mark, reached out to me, he asked me if I knew this man, Russ, so-and-so. I said, I don't know who that is. And he said, this is the man Rachel's been seeing. So, by the way, back to the phone call for a minute, when he called me and he showed me that videotape By the way, just for you guys in the control room, I have videotape of her walking through the door with that I alluded to, so you can cut into that. What I did was I hopped off the phone and I texted her and I said, Rachel, do you know Russ so-and-so? She said, no, I don't know who that is. I said, do you know Russ so-and-so?
Nope.
I said, Rachel, I just had a phone call with Mark, your husband, Mark. And she said, he's been coming around a lot, starting trouble. I said, coming around where? Coming around the hospital? Coming around ICU? Coming around where? And I began to be sarcastic. The Harry that you know, that you and I spend time around the fireplace with. I'm like, okay.
The big guy who rides a Harley right through the middle of Vegas. The outwardly
yeah, right. So
tattoos.
I said, so you're not paralyzed. You're not in the hospital. You don't have cancer. You never had cancer. Where are you right now? And there was this pause, and I'm waiting for the bubbles to pop up. And then I get the words that drove me to do this. And that was, Harry, my situation has changed recently, and I've chosen not to include you. I'm sorry. You're what? My friend Matt said she had 563 days to tell you the truth. She had every word in the English language to choose from. And those are the words she chose. That in and of itself is a psychology class all on its own.
Is she a normal? I mean, are we talking? There's a mental health issue here somewhere, right? But she does still work for a major airline. She does have kids, and she's living with Russ, so she's functional. What is this? I mean, other than obviously Delulu.
I thought initially it was narcissism. I wrote to a friend of mine that I've known since childhood who's the therapist, and I sent her the first few episodes of the podcast, and I said, I want you to come on the podcast and talk about the narcissist. And she wrote me back and said, oh, honey, I'll come talk about the narcissist, but there's something sociopathic and pathological about what she has done. By the way, she said, this is a dangerous woman. And I said, dangerous? Like, I mean, I'm 6'1", I'm 240 pounds. I got some training in my background. Like, am I afraid of a cute little blondie? She said, yeah, for all intents and purposes, you should be. And I thought, that's frightening. I thought she was just a little cray-cray. But no, she's potentially sociopathic. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a mental, and she's never been examined, but she's got a problem. She's got a problem. And people like this don't get help. They can't be studied. It's like finding an animal in the wild that they can't study because they can't get it in a cage. They can't get her in a cage.
So, where you haven't spoken to her in?
I saw her in court a month ago. I was going to testify on her husband Mark's behalf about some things she did to him.
Mark called you. Oh, wow.
I have a relationship with Mark. Mark and I chat. You know, to me, the guy I really wanted to stop 13 years ago has now become a friend.
Yeah.
And now I'm...
Misery loves company or needs company. But he had you in court to testify in his dissolving of the marriage with her. This judge must have been like, what in God's name? I mean, how did she get anything? She didn't.
Poor Mark got arrested based on evidence she fabricated a year and a half ago. He's had an ankle bracelet on his
for being
left ankle because she didn't want to be found out. The last episode of the podcast, unless she goes to jail, is a recording that he made with Rachel one night where he questions her on everything. And at one point she boo-hoos and says, Mark, just take the girls. They're better off without you. And
they're better off without me.
I'm sorry.
Take the girls.
Just take the girls. They're better off without me. And Mark thinks that's crazy. They want you. We can rebuild this family, even after knowing about what you did to
my
me.
God,
So this guy stands by her side. So what happens after that, off tape, is he said, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I'm done. On that tape, she says the girls cannot ever find out what I've done. Ever.
But at least she's acknowledging to him at this point, I've done all this. She's acknowledged that she's done this.
The problem is that she went after he said, I can't do this anymore, and she began the process of fabricating evidence, including sending herself threatening text messages, and this is where it became a true crime story. I've uncovered police reports. I've uncovered messages that she's alleged to have been sent by Mark. This story goes from a simple scam heartbreak story for me to she had her husband arrested and he's facing prison time. Today, as I sit here with you, there's a hearing tomorrow. He may end up on trial going to prison, not jail, not a couple nights in the pokey, prison. It's an ugly story that has huge tentacles, and it's all here. I've laid it. It's so much, but it's here. It's on YouTube. I've laid the story out. People can just look for the Rachel Cancer scam.
Dateline doesn't have anyone anymore as good as this. I mean, this is like, I always say, I say to you, you're like the John Walsh. You know, John Walsh had to go through it before he could be the host of America's Most Wanted. But I mean, this story, the way you've laid it out in the Rachel Cancer scam it's riveting storytelling. It's phenomenally. You know, the way everyone's cut their expenses these days, you do it all. You know how to shoot, you know how to film, you know how to write, you know how to tell stories. And this one happened to you could never have told this story as well as this one because it had to be this brutal.
I couldn't have written it. And when I first sent it to you, after I went to you basically with my tail between my legs, I said, Billy, you got to just listen to it. I can't answer any questions right now. I can't talk about it. Just listen to the story. And this was funny, and this is why one of the reasons I love you. You, after a day or two, you wrote me back and said, listen, I want you to re-record it. And I don't want you to be Keith Morrison. Yeah. I want you to be you. Yeah. We don't need Keith Morrison. We need Harry to tell a story. And I love you for that because your honesty and again, this is...
Well, I think you have a great broadcaster's instinct, but I'm like, Harry, no, this isn't someone else's story.
Yeah.
This is your story.
The story.
And you've got to let yourself feel everything that has happened to you so you can then tell the story from the right place and the right perspective. But the natural instinct for someone who's been through something as humiliating as this and heartbreaking and brutal, emotionally violent, is to try and separate yourself from it as best you can and tell it from an observant point of view. But it's you.
Being Keith Morrison was easier for me because I'm a crime TV nut.
Yeah.
You know, I spend my time watching true crime. And it's just, this is just like what you would see on Dateline 2020 where the victim says, I watch these shows all the time. I never thought it would be me.
Yeah.
And now it's me. And I'm telling it in my own voice. And I think that's one of the reasons it resonates with people is that all these true crime, all these Wondery shows and these wonderful podcasts are out there. I don't know of anyone else that's telling their own story. And I'm grateful to be able to do it. I'm glad I'm still alive to be able to do it.
Amazingly, this has been the most, not to, sorry to equate to Taylor Swift, but every album she writes is from, from the heartbreak of the whatever relationship was or whatever. I mean, this is as cathartic an experience as could possibly happen. You've never been healthier. You dropped 40 pounds. You're lean. You're sharp. You're the best version of you is coming through this. You had to do this process in order to get there. In my own little way, which is nowhere near as I had to live through something that was brutal for me, and now the name of my damn show is Hot Mics. It was a hot mic that took my voice away, and now it's one that gives me my authentic one. Finally,
you were a lightning rod for a minute, and may to some people still be that. But you are telling your truth and your perspective on what's going on in our society. I love that. I find it incredibly refreshing. You and I talked this morning about, Britney Spears. We talk about a story, and the conversation that you and I have does not differ from what you do here. And I respect that, because most journalists are going to sanitize. They're not going to tell the truth. If you're feeling it, you tell it.
Right.
And I'm telling my story based in part because of your influence on me, because I watch you do what you do. I have the ability to tell this story because of you. Because of you, I'm doing this.
And after this, you're going to tell other stories. This is about finding your voice. This is about getting through your intense pain, shame, all of that you have to go through. Once you get out of that, now you will tell other stories. After this, you will continue what is amazing investigative abilities and to shed light on, other people's scam.
It's unfathomable to me to think about the amount of contact I've had from people who have had similar stories to what I've gone through with Rachel. I'm not alone. I am not alone. And I feel that every single day from people on social. The amount of contact I get from men and women. The one thing I want to say, and I want to say it to men, because true crime is a woman's marketplace.
Yeah.
Men. There are as many of you as there are women that have been through this kind of thing. There is shame and humiliation involved in saying, I'm hurt. You could take all the self-defense you want. You could put on all the pads and the catcher's mask and the hockey gear. The one thing we can't protect is what's in here.
Yeah.
Mine was destroyed, Billy. Destroyed.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
And I'm encourage men to tell their stories.
Well, I mean, go find it. YouTube.
Listen,
the Rachel cancer scam.
I know you don't do this. It's on YouTube, but I'm coming over there to hug you.
Uh-oh.
I love you.
Oh, God, he's big.
I'm coming over.
He lost 40 pounds, but he's still big. Oh, Lord.
Oh, God.
Oh, God, here it comes.
I love this man. Now I'm going to put him to sleep. Say
Oh, he
goodnight,
can't.
Billy. It's
No, don't
over.
hurt me. Don't hurt me like you usually do.
It's say goodnight. As my mother would say, it's time to say goodbye and thank you.
Thank you very much. Rachel Cancer Scam. Listen to it on YouTube. Follow Harry and on to the next afterwards. I love you, buddy.
Oh, I love you.
And that is it for Hot Mics today. Bye-bye. Hot Mics. Great title. You know it.